Hey guys, welcome to the first of many tutorials about Onshape here on this channel. Okay, so what is Onshape? Onshape is a computer-aided design software, also known as CAD software, in a website form, and a lot of FTC teams use this instead of other softwares because it is easy to use, and it allows multiple platforms to be working on it at once because it's online. All right, so to get started, first you need to go to cad.onshape.com to create an account. And once you have that, you should be able to see over here, we have something called create. And what we want to create is a document. This is where we put all of our projects and things that we need to use inside of one, let's say, big folder-like thing, all right? So let's just click on create and then document. And then for this one, let's just name it tutorial, just name it anything you want. After we create that, it takes a while to get started. All right. So once we have this, you can see on the bottom that we have Parts Studio and Assembly. It might be a little overwhelming with all these interfaces and all that. Just stay with me. For this episode, we're only going to talk about Part Studios, or at least the basics of it. So over here, to actually move around the interface. So what we do is you use the middle mouse button to pan around where we are, all right? This is called panning. And hold the right click and then drag to turn or rotate the viewpoint, all right? Or to pan, you could also control right click. And once you get here, you can't really get back to the original default view. So what you can do is this cube over here is used for you to click, and then it'll automatically go to that face. So on the left face, right face, front, and so on. Or you can click these corners to go in between them. You see these three squares? These are actually planes. And if you've learned some geometry before, these planes are endless faces that you're able to put stuff on, right? So to draw objects, you are supposed to start from one of these planes. So how do we start? So first of all, so this is how we create like drawings, right? So like creating 2D objects, right? So we click sketch. Now we have a bunch of other new tools and things on the top. And over here, it's red because we have not selected a sketch plane. So what we do is we select the plane we want to draw our sketch on. So first we have, okay, for this one, let's just choose top. All right, so now I should be able to draw on this face, the top face. So let's just orient the camera to the top, all right? So I don't like what we have over here, like the cross in the middle. So over here, if we come over here, we have front and right faces, like the planes, and you could just press the I to hide whatever object you want. In this case, is our faces, the planes. Okay, so now we have this black dot over here. This is called the origin. This is the most important point. This is the starting point of our entire thing because it is fixed and it cannot move. So we should always start from over here. So for this, let's just make a box. Let's just create a simple square, right? So we have many different tools. This one is called corner rectangle. So we have a rectangle that starts from a corner and we can drag it out, right? So let's just do that. Okay, so once we have that, we can see that some of these lines are blue, some of them are black. The black ones means they are fully defined and they cannot move around. But the blue lines means they are not defined. They can still move around. So what you can do to actually give them the dimensions that you want, we have a dimension tool. So to create whatever length or angle or whatever, just click on the thing that you want. So we have this. Okay, so this line, let's just set it to, let's just say I want it to be 100 millimeters. All right, and over here we have another 100. Also, when we start up Onshape, it should ask you for some default measurements. I recommend you use millimeters because that's what a lot of patrons like GoBuilder use to do their models and stuff. So I recommend you always use millimeters because of screws and all that, all being millimeters. Okay, so once we have this cube, but of course, if you're using like Rev or AndyMark, then Imperial should be better. Okay, so once we have this square, right? We click OK, and now we have a flat square on this top plane. So if you like, if you've ever learned geometry, as I said before, you should know that a 3D object is actually just a 2D object, but stretched out onto a third dimension, right? So we have width, length, and then height. So to create our, okay, I want to make a cube. So to create our cube, what we do is we stretch it out on the third dimension, the height. We create a height. So what we do is you use the extrude. There are a bunch of different tools. What we need to use is extrude. Okay, so it asks us to select faces and sketch regions that we want to extrude. And let's just click new because we want to create a new part, all right? And now we click the face, and then now we should be able to drag it up and down to gain or lower the height, or we could put it on the other side. Okay, so we have, now we can change the depth by hand also. So we could just do 100 to make a cube because the height is 100 and the length and width are also 100, so it's a cube. And there we have it. We click OK. And we have a complete cube that is completely the same on all of the sides. And another thing to add is if you want to know what a specific line or face, its dimensions or what and area and other things, you could just click it. And then on the bottom here, you could see length is 100 millimeters, which is what we exactly set it as. This is also 100, and if you want to select more, you just click again. You don't need to hold control or anything in other softwares. And now it will just tell us the angle, which is 90 degrees. To remove selections, just click anywhere that is white. All right. Okay, moving on. So let's say, for example, I want to now bore a hole on the top of this cube going all the way through. All right. So to make it feel less clunky and overwhelming, let's just remove this top face. Now we only have a cube and origin. All right, so we have this cube, right? And we want to create a circle running through the entirety of the cube from top to bottom. Okay. So let's just create the shape that we want to bore a hole out of on the top. So you create another sketch. And this sketch plane would not be the top, front, or right planes like before, but instead you just choose a face that we have already created. So in this case, we want it to be the top one. Because as I said before, we're going from top to bottom. Okay, so now we're drawing on the top face again. We want the circle to be in the middle. All right, so what can we do? So if I just draw a circle using the center point circle tool, it's not going to be perfectly in the center, but I want it to be. Drag it around, but that's not very accurate, right? So what we can do is we can create some construction lines which help you figure out dimensions and stuff without actually having to put it on your final sketch. So to create them, after we select our tool, we can press Q on our keyboard, or we can click this button. So now we have lines that are dashed like this. And this will not appear when we do extrudes and stuff. So that's pretty helpful. And to remove a line, we could just press escape. So what do we want to do? We want two lines to run from the midpoint of this one and this one to create an intersection in which we can then put a circle, and then that would be perfectly in the center. So how do we do that? So once we get our crosshair close to the midpoint of this line over here, you can see that little box on the bottom right of my crosshair. That is known as a relation. So this relation, the line and then the dot, that means the midpoint. So this is exactly what we want. And this one with the two lines intersecting, that's called coincidence, which means they're touching each other. Okay, so what we want is coincident and also midpoint. So here. And now, if it's horizontal, it will snap in place and it will show a horizontal line. Want it all the way to the other midpoint, right? So that's also horizontal. Let's put it on the midpoint. And as you can see, it's already black because it's already touching two things that are already defined, and it's also in the midpoint, so it cannot move, right? It's completely defined. Now let's do the same thing, but on the top and the bottom. A line in a construction, put it from the midpoints all the way down to the other midpoint. And then escape to get out. Now we have two intersecting construction lines on one point that is exactly the center of the square. So how do we get that? We have the point. Click the point and then click the intersection. It should be the midpoint of either this line or this line. So let's just select one. And there we have it. Now we have a point on the exact middle. So what do we do with this? We can use this to figure out the center, and now we can just put a circle there. And to dimension it, as before, use the dimension tool to click it, and now we can change the diameter. Let's change it to 50. All right, now we have a size 50mm diameter circle in the middle of our square, which is on top of a cube. All right, so let's just click OK. Now we have a circle on this cube. And to actually get rid of the material that is below this circle, what we do is we also use extrude, but instead we choose this, which is remove. Before we use new, which means we create a new part. Add means to add material. So for example, if I were to choose this face, it will add material on this existing part, so this will be the same part. If I do new, this will be a completely new part as seen by the different color. And if I remove, there's going to be a hole, right? So I want it to go through. Now it is a cube with a hole through it. But what if, for example, there's something on the bottom of this and I don't want the hole to go through that, because now it will. So what do I do? And I don't want to measure the length of this. So what I can do is I can change the end type of this. So there's many. There's up to next, up to face, up to part. But what we need is up to face. So this will remove all the material up to the face that we selected, which is pretty self-explanatory. So the face that we want, let's just do this one, okay? But now we have a hole all the way to this face, and then it stops. It's going to stop here. No more is being removed, and nothing else is being hurt. Okay, so let's just click OK, and now we have a cube with a hole through it. Okay, so after the main tutorial, I'll teach you how to make an account for free that gives you access to all the information and all the tools that you need. So you first go to cat.onshape.com, and if you're signed, if it tells you to sign in and you don't have an account already, just click sign up, and it'll take you to this page. And then over here, you'll see create a student account. You want to click that. And then you just sign up for this. Okay, so now you want to click students and then hit a 12. And then just for this, you don't really need to put in your own school's actual information. They just want you to put something in that's just fill up whatever your school is and your graduation year. I recommend you choose the latest possible so you don't have to renew it. And just agree and complete sign up, and there you have an account. All right, so that is the end of this episode, and good luck to all the rookies, and thanks.